Representative Jasmine Crockett, Democrat from Dallas, Texas, on Wednesday, February 12, 2025, accused Republicans of handing their constitutional role of controlling the federal purse strings to to Elon Musk, whom Donald Trump has tasked with rooting out waste in the fake federal government department called Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. Now, this all took place during the new House subcommittee on delivering on government efficiency, chaired by Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia. You remember the bleach blonde, bad built butch body, Marjorie Taylor Greene? So Representative Jasmine Crockett called out Elon Musk, who is unelected, trying to cut costs with his fake Doge department and his appearance in the Oval Office on Tuesday with co-president or vice president Donald Trump. Now, this was the craziest press conference because Elon Musk, who is unelected, answered more questions than Donald Trump did, who 77 million people voted for Donald Trump. And one of the things that I find really interesting is Elon Musk wants to cut funding to USAID, which is only $40 billion a year out of $6 trillion in annual spending. But the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, is almost $900 billion in spending annually, and they're not trying to cut that. Now, Representative Jasmine Crockett also called out Elon Musk for lying about $50 million in condoms being sent to GAZA by a journalist. Now, check out this clip here of Representative Jasmine Crockett in action, and then I'm going to do a fact check of the lies that Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, continue to tell. Because at this press conference, there was a journalist that confronted Elon Musk with the lie. You won't believe what he said. Check this out.
I want to be clear, before the Trump administration came in, this committee did exist in the form of the Oversight Committee, and our task is to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. In that vein, we had a number of hearings, at least last term. I can't speak for any other term as I'm only in my sophomore term, and we dealt with improper payments. And interestingly enough, our chairwoman, who is so passionate about this today, she missed every single one of those improper payment hearings. But just to be clear, I was there, so I don't want anyone to believe that Democrats just come to work and don't plan to do work. In fact, I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that the Republicans believe our job is, because right now they have relinquished their constitutional duties over to an unelected bureaucrat, someone who no one went out to vote for. And absolutely, he is occupying the Oval Office, as we saw yesterday. And that is a first for me, to see someone occupying the Oval Office who's never actually been elected to the Oval Office and actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected. But for whatever reason, this is the first time we're having a Doge subcommittee hearing, and that guy's not here. Instead, we have y'all. So I do want to thank you for coming. But I will say this. It's also interesting to me that in the first few days of Doge existing, we know that they are trying to get rid of the Department of Education, USAID, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're laying off FAA workers. They are going after the FDA, the CDC, the HHS, the FBI agents, and they're talking about getting rid of female empowerment, right? Because as Mr. Whitson said, he said, we need to return the power of the purse to Congress. It never left. According to the Constitution, that's where it's at. Now, I know that people are confused right now because for whatever reason, we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, people said that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand. If you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying, and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie.
Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat it.
I'll ask Elon Musk to say a few words, and we'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So at a high level, if you say what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, FAX, we would have to, if you sorry. I tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the President, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large, unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at this, if you asked the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit, and if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense, and if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country.
We're going to interrupt this pablum to fact check it a little bit. One, irony died while he was talking. The only unelected party in any of this is Elon Musk. Andrew Nassios, who was the administrator of USAID, a lifelong Republican and self-described hardline conservative, said it took 1 month to turn the mission of USAID in the direction of a hard-right conservative agenda from the Clinton years. So the idea that the bureaucracy, as Elon Musk is describing, isn't responsive to the policymaker is destroyed by the fact pattern as testified to by Democratic and Republican cabinet officials. But there you have it. The co-president speaking much longer and in far greater detail than the president, drawing into serious question, who's in charge?
So the African nation of Mozambique was not getting $50 million in condoms either. Federal figures show that USAID, that's the U.S. Agency for International Development, their condom aid totaled about $8 million worldwide in the 2023 fiscal year. Okay? $8 million worldwide in the 2023 fiscal year, and that's the last year for which data is available, and that no condoms at all went to Mozambique. So here you have Donald Trump, here you have Caroline Levitt, here you have Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, who don't know the difference between GAZA, a province in Mozambique, and Gaza in Palestine in the quote-unquote so-called Middle East. Now, Mozambique, which is among the countries with the highest prevalence of HIV, received about $5.4 million worth of non-condom contraceptives that year from USAID. So all those who are worried that millions of dollars were going in for condoms to Gaza, either in Mozambique or in Gaza and Palestine, you can rest assured your money wasn't being wasted like that. However, what is Doge doing? How much money are they wasting? And once again, if you want to cut costs, why don't you start with the Pentagon? Annual spending is $900 billion a year. Why are you starting with USAID? Why are you trying to shut down the Department of Education? That's Chapter 11 of Project 2025, shutting down the Department of Education, which I warned everybody about. Okay? So once again, this is an example of how elections have consequences, and we need to watch these lies, call these lies out coming from the second Trump White House, just like we did during the first Trump White House. All right. Like, comment, and share this video. Follow me on my Facebook fan page, The African History Network. The African History Network. I'm Michael Imhotep, historian and national political commentator, founder of the African History Network. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube at Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. Watch me Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Roland Martin Unfiltered, where I provide historical and political analysis. Register for my online history classes at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It starts up, 12-week online course starts up Saturday, February 22nd. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the